celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
And welcome. Grab your pets, bring them on around the radio for another, at least a couple of hours of Animal Radio for you. A big show. We have Zak George. He'll be back. He's this revolutionary trainer, dog trainer who trains by making it fun for both the animal and you. And he has a book out called The Dog Training Revolution. We will give away copies. Also, 5 things you must do before your pet goes missing.
I can think of a couple.
What are you working on over there in the newsroom, Lori?
Oh, Hal, you know I am a total sucker for a guy who loves a cat or any animal. But, you know, you're a guy who loves cats. And I because it's just not the typical. We women love animals differently. And anyhow, there's a filmmaker who has a cat, and they've been in the news before, a blind cat.
Oh.
And, he's making movies about her. Just a real touching story.
I noticed you have a lot of cat stories in today's news. Very cat-centric.
Cats and chickens.
Cats and chickens.
Cats and chickens. Yes, I do love myself some cats, and people make fun of me because I like cats. You know?
I know, and I don't know why that is, but we need to make it acceptable.
Yes.
There's a good Facebook page called Show Your Soft Side, and it's all about, like, big macho men loving dogs and cats.
Yeah, I'm not a big macho man, but...
Okay, skinny macho guy.
Look at Joey Villani, for instance. I mean, he's a pretty macho guy, and
Yep.
Yeah.
if you ran into him in a dark alley, you would run the other way. You'd be scared. But and I can say that because he's not in the studio right now. But you could see if you saw him with little kitties, little kittens in his hand,
Or saw him with his bird Gurney.
yeah, you'd understand that.
Yep.
Let's go to the phones for your calls. That's the most important part right now. And let's go to, is it Lily or Lily?
Lily.
Hi, Lily. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
I've got the good doctor right here. What's up?
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking my call. So about a week or so ago, I noticed that our dog had a watery eye. It was a little bit lower than her other eye, but it just looked like maybe she's a Chihuahua and a weenie mix. So she likes to go outside and dig around and mess around like in the backyard with the tomato plants and just, like walk into stuff. So we thought maybe, she brushed it up against something. It just looked watery and a little bit lower. So we took her to the vet, and he thought, just by looking at her, that she had conjunctivitis.
Okay.
And once, he was telling us about that, and what it meant, but he hadn't touched her yet. He was just kind of like looking at her from a distance. Then when he got up close to her, he pulled down her eyelid to make sure, and that's like when this thing just kind of like popped out, and he said it was called a cherry eye. So he's like, forget everything I just said about the conjunctivitis. This is not conjunctivitis. She has cherry eye, which I had never heard of.
Yeah.
So
Neither have I.
Panic mode. It looked like an actual cherry was in her eye when he pulled down her lower lid.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So, yes. So, what did you end up doing for it?
Okay, so at that moment, he was like, look, it looks bad. It's really not. What it is the third eyelid, there's a tear duct or some kind of a duct, and it's blocked, or he was saying something like it's shaped like a T, and it, could be, damaged. It could be broken. It could be, this is hereditary. It could be that she like brushed up against something, or that, maybe got poked by.
Right. So, but what did you end up doing, or did you make a decision on steps on how to manage this?
Well, at that moment, he was like, we can do surgery on it, but at this point, he suggested that we take this BNP ointment, which is like a cortisone ointment, I think. Put the ointment in her eye 2 times a day, because that way it'll help the swelling go down. And he said that we could manage it by doing that, because if it happens once, it can happen again, and not only can it happen again, but it can also go to her other eye. And he told us the risks of surgery, that he could, do the surgery, take it out, take the piece of the duct out, put a couple of stitches in there, but that the rate of it actually working is, it might come back, in other words.
Right. Okay, so let me give you my spiel on the cherry eyes because obviously Hal's never heard of this. So cherry eye is just kind of a general term for it's basically a prolapse of a gland in the third eyelid. So dogs have 3 eyelids, the regular ones that have hair, and then the third one is in the corner of their eye. You don't normally see it. It kind of tucks down below the eyelids unless they're experiencing pain or inflammation, and then you kind of see it rise up. And within that third eyelid, there is a gland that produces tears. So in dogs with a cherry eye, what generally happens, there's a combination of factors. There is a genetic tendency for a cherry eye, and we do see it in certain breeds. We see it a lot in Chihuahuas. We see it in bulldogs, Cocker Spaniels. I have to say a lot in beagles. And so there's some genetic link to that. And basically it means that there's some looseness to the connective tissues along that eyelid. So some dogs also, it may be precipitated by things like allergies, conjunctivitis, inflammation, things like that. So it might kind of be a combination of factors. So, but when it does occur, it's not something that's contagious to the other eye. So I wouldn't say your dog's other eye may catch it, but your dog may have that tendency for it in both eyes. So even though it's not apparent in the second eye yet, it may very well be down the road and show up. So if we definitely have a established cherry eye, surgical replacement is the preferred treatment of these things. And I do sometimes play with these if they're, really small and not that established. I might put a little anesthetic in the eye and pop the gland back in temporarily and use some topical medications to see if we can keep the inflammation at bay. But it's generally a temporary thing, and most dogs will go on later to have, the gland pop out. So that cherry kind of comes right out and is very apparent.
And right now that you just described it, that's exactly what he did. Because when he took her in the back, he did the
fluorescein stain. Yeah.
There you go. To make sure that she didn't have any scratches in her eye.
Exactly.
After he did that, he said, I was able to pop it back in. I was like, I don't even want to know what that entails.
It's not horrible. No, it's not horrible. It's a little anesthetic we put in the eye, and it's a little kind of manipulation with a Q-tip on the eyelid. So it's not a big deal. It's not horrible.
Okay, well then that makes sense too, because then after we left and we were talking about it. Now, obviously, if surgery is the best option for her, then that's definitely what we'll do. But what really freaked me out is that I got online and I started seeing, message boards about, people that had been dealing with, their pets having cherry eye. There's YouTube videos about, showing you how to massage the gland back.
Yeah.
So there's just so much stuff out there, and I thought, what, this is crazy. Either I'm going to go based off of what her vet says, who's been her vet. We can get a second opinion, and we need to leave it at that because there's just too much craziness out there that you can get your hands on.
True that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can look online and see videos on how to do surgery on your pet, but that doesn't mean we want you to do it. So no, for cherry eye, my spiel on cherry eye is really that if we have the gland sticking out, the best thing is to replace it. One is we don't want to remove the gland because a lot of people will say, oh, can you just cut it out? So we're done and over with, and there's no risk that this will come back popping out. Yeah. And we do want to preserve that gland. We don't want to remove it because it does have important tear function for the eye, and we can set up the eye for becoming a dry eye if we take that gland out. So we want to preserve it. Usually there's a couple different techniques that veterinarians will use. There's what we call a pocket technique, and there's also an anchoring technique. Depends on what your veterinarian likes to use and what their comfort level is. And I too warn people, hey, this can come back. So my choice, and when I recommend surgery, is I approach this one of two ways. One is you want to see a board-certified ophthalmologist. I got 3 of them in my town. Absolutely. We can send you straight there, and you'll have the best chance of the best outcome of the surgery. But otherwise, this is a surgery a lot of veterinarians do in general practice. So as long as your veterinarian's comfortable with that, then I'll tend to do that surgery. If it comes back a second time, then maybe I'll kind of encourage that client to go see a specialist, because it really depends a lot on the shape and the depth of the orbital rim, underlying factors. If we've got a lot of conjunctivitis, allergies, and other types of eyelid disorders on, what our likelihood is to come back. So, but all that being said, if it's there, I would do surgery, and I would definitely definitely not focus on trying to massage, to do something on a long-term basis. I don't think that'll help you at all, and it'll just make you go crazy.
Oh, my goodness. You have no idea. Thank you so much, Doctor. I really appreciate, your thoughts on it, because it's, when your vet is telling you something, it just, not that I don't, obviously I trust him. He's her vet for a reason, and, we've been with him since she was a puppy, since we rescued her. But it just makes, you feel so much better to hear it from another professional that, knows what they're talking about, that you've listened to. So it just makes me feel more comfortable with the decision of, going ahead and having him, go take care of it.
Good.
All right. Well, glad I could be of some help. And isn't that a great weight off your chest? Because all that worrying, it just drives us pet owners crazy.
And it also just says something about Dr. Google, too. You can really find just about anything online, and there's a lot of misinformation. So I'm glad that you're listening to the guy that went to school and is versed in taking care of your animal. It probably has your...
Exactly.
Yeah. Lily, thanks so much for your call.
Thank you, guys.
Well, don't forget, you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download it now. It's made possible by Fear-Free Happy Homes, helping your pets live their happiest, healthiest, fullest lives at home, at the vet, and everywhere in between. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com. And thanks, Fear-Free, for underwriting Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hey, everybody, this is Brett Michaels, and I just want to say, you, right now, want to take... Wait, give me the line again. My brain skipped.
Brett Michaels.
I just had one of my brain hemorrhage brain farts.
Oh,
Go
don't
ahead,
do that.
say
Don't do
one
that.
more time.
I don't want to be responsible for that.
Trust me, it's me. Go ahead.
Animal Radio. Brett Michaels, Animal Radio.
You got it. I knew the Animal Radio. Okay, here we go. Hey, this is Brett Michaels. You're listening to Animal Radio, and take care of your pets. They will rock your world.
Do you have a home that you don't want anymore? We can buy it from you within 24 hours. Any home, size, or condition. For over 20 years, we've been buying homes for cash and helping homeowners sell their homes immediately, with no listings or strangers walking through your home. Are you moving? Did you lose your job? Going through a divorce? Whatever the reason, if you're in a bind and you know that you need to sell your house fast, call the expert team at I Need to Sell My House Fast. We'll make you a serious cash offer to buy your home in 24 hours and let you walk away from it. No listing, no waiting. Sell any home, any size, any condition, now. Call the expert team at I Need to Sell My House Fast. Make this free call now.
800-478-6084. 800-478-6084. 800-478-6084. That's 800-478-6084.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Thank you for joining us today. In a few minutes, we're going to talk to Zak George. He's the young guy. I'm not going to say it. He's younger than...
He's a trainer. He's a
trainer.
competent trainer.
Yes.
I guess his training method is youthful. He's not the one that wants to scare your dog into...
And dominating
that. And you can check him out on YouTube. And he gives out free dog training tips and free YouTube videos. So, you can learn how to train your dog, some of these things right from the video. We'll give out some of his books, and he'll be on the way in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. Robert Simrose here with 5 things you must do before your pet goes missing. These are things that you don't want to do after they go missing. And just around the corner right here on Animal Radio. Lori, what are you doing over there in the newsroom? I see Gordy is sleeping out loud.
Actually, that's Gordy and Lucy, so it should be doubly loud.
Yes, that's probably what it is.
Yeah. Thunderstorms don't affect them here. Coming up, there's this company in Colorado, pretty earthy area, and they've developed a great product, I think. I don't know how it's going to taste, but it's the equivalent of wine for your cat.
Cat wine?
Cat wine.
Cat wine. Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
I've always thought when I'm enjoying a glass of wine and my cat's just sitting there that I feel like I'm doing it alone.
Well, yeah, well, they're staring at you like they want you to share.
Okay, well, so
Well, this could be a bonding experience for you.
okay, we'll find out more with Lori Brooks in just a second. And don't forget, you can also ask your questions from the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hey, it's Alan Cable. Got an email from a listener. How do I stop my dog from jumping on people? That's a pretty common problem. Chances are you're unwittingly rewarding your dog for jumping on you. I was at the dog park the other day. There was a nice lady there. We got into a conversation. She kept going, go ahead, play, come on, to her dog. And I finally said, your dog is playing. Every time you say that, you're confusing him because he runs over and jumps on you. He's already doing what you want and doesn't know what you want him to do. He's going to play on his own. All you have to do is stand there. And he really doesn't understand what you're saying. It was interesting for me. I could see the confusion in her dog, but she couldn't. He was already playing with another dog. And every time she started saying this stuff, he stopped to run over and jump on her. Dogs don't understand your sentences. They do get your tone, though, whether you're in a good mood or a bad mood. So when the dog was jumping on her, she was getting more excited with her voice, but shooing him away with her hands. So he's confused. It's just all confusing. I'm confused. Anyway, if your dog is jumping on you and other people, especially when you're greeting him, don't speak to him in a positive manner. Make sure there are no rewards for your dog when he's jumping on you or other people. Even dog lovers who tell you they don't mind your dog's jumping, tell them no. Dogs can't distinguish between, I can jump on him, but I can't jump on her. It's either all or nothing with a dog. He can either jump on everybody or nobody. We always talk about setting your dog up for success, so think about how you'd be setting your dog up for failure if you scolded him for jumping on one person, but rewarded him for jumping on you or another. Wouldn't that be unfair and confusing and create anxiety in you if you were that dog? Well, that's what it does. So if your dog jumps on you when you get home, make it a non-event. Don't talk to your dog. Don't greet him for about 15 minutes after you get home. This will make your dog calmer, less anxious. Then when you do say hi, bend over and pet him at his level. This way he doesn't have to jump on you. And finally, teach your dog the sit and off commands. You do this by correcting your dog quickly and sternly when he jumps on you. And then when he sits, you tell him he's a good dog.
This is
Animal Radio.
Hi, Barbara. How are you doing?
Okay, I have a 2-year-old Vizsla that has a skin allergy. I have him on all-natural, gluten-free food. Been to the vet. It's not fungal. It's not bacterial. It went away during the winter. It came back just about a month ago. We don't know whether it's coinciding with the weather, with the chlorine in the pool. I just can't find anything to do for him. The vet pretty much has thrown up her hands.
Oh, dear. So have you tried other medications? What exactly has been done?
Animax. I have him on Benadryl, 225 milligram twice a day. That keeps it calm, but I just hate keeping on giving him that indefinitely, and I don't know how long this is going to last. It's angry and red looking.
Angry, yeah, that's we use descriptive terms.
Angry looking.
Yes. So, I mean, a couple of things that there's definitely directions we can go, and it just depends on what approach you're comfortable with, because we can treat allergies symptomatically, or we can try to get to a little bit more of the root of things. One of the aspects with any allergy, when we talk about food-related components, a gluten-free diet is only limiting certain types of protein. So if that's not seeming to help and control things, then we might even switch that out to other types of hypoallergenic diets. And there's some where we'll restrict to a hydrolyzed protein. And that's something that for many dogs with allergies, we'll try a course of that. We may switch things up and try something totally different, like a what we call a limited protein diet. So we might have just a couple different ingredients in that and see if the skin signs are better. So I wouldn't say just because you're on gluten-free means that we've eliminated that food allergy possibility.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, we have specialists of veterinary types of all sorts. So pretty much anything you can imagine in the human world, there's a veterinary specialty in that. So, and we do have veterinary dermatologists. So if your veterinarian is not comfortable with where things are or thinks that everything has been exhausted, we can refer to a veterinary dermatologist. And I would see, if you're interested, I would see about getting your pet tested, allergy tested, because there's certain things we can either eliminate in the environment, or we can do hyposensitization for pets with allergies. And that's kind of getting to the root of the allergy, if you will. Rather than trying Benadryl and medicine to try to control the itch, we try to go to the heart of it, what's causing it. It might be worthwhile to see about allergy testing, and that can be done with a skin method with a dermatologist. And there's also some blood allergy testing that can be done. It's not necessarily as precise, but it's a good starting point for some folks, so that would be another thing to try.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. That's 800-689-0143.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. So you love your cat, of course you do, and you love your wine. Here is the perfect thing for you. A Colorado company called Apollo Peak has come out with a non-alcoholic beet-based wine for cats that also happens to be safe for humans and dogs. You gotta love that. Now, it comes in 2 varieties. The red is called Pinot Meow, and the white wine is Moscato. So maybe what you would say Moscato? I'm not sure.
Moscato, yes.
They say that both of the wines have a proprietary blend that includes all natural, organically grown catnip infused into it, fresh beets, and natural preservatives that'll help to hold the taste and color. Now, the lack of alcohol means, nobody's going to get drunk from drinking this wine, but because it does contain organic catnip, which can produce a kind of drunken reaction, remember, you know how cats, when they smell catnip, they become goofy, move around a lot, get kind of weird. Now, the opposite happens when they eat it, or in this case, drink the catnip. So they will become more mellow, like us when we have a glass of wine.
Yeah, you're just sitting there, cat on your lap, feet up in the air, everybody just reclining, just having a nice glass of wine. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Did you know the average dog can understand more than 165 words? Now, as technology advances, and, gosh, does it ever, because we report about it every week. And as, technology advances, animal research improves, humans and pets might just soon be able to communicate even better, as scientists and researchers are really working hard to bridge our communication gap. There is so much work being done in this field, as the money to be made, of course, from products for companion animals continues to skyrocket. For example, here's some of the projects in the works. At North Carolina State University, an engineering team is developing a smart harness for dogs, which uses vibrations to send commands. Now, at Georgia Tech, there's a researcher there who has designed computerized vests for service dogs that release audio messages when mechanical levers on that vest are pulled. So, for example, if the dog's owner, say, has a seizure, the dog would be wearing the vest, and by pulling a lever, he could verbally ask someone nearby for help. Also in the news, over in Cambodia, rats are now being used to sniff out landmines and proving to be, they say, more effective even than metal detectors. Stevie, a blind cat, have you heard about her?
No.
She hikes with her human. Yeah, she's back again, blazing some new trails. Filmmaker Patrick Kaur is her owner, and his cat Stevie. They gained a huge following last year after, he's a filmmaker. He made this beautiful video that showed him and the blind calico kitty going on a hike in Ireland. which is gorgeous. He says he made the film because he really wanted to just kind of capture how he truly felt about Stevie and then share that with the world in a meaningful way. And he did a great job. But since then, Stevie's love for the outdoors has really continued to grow. And now Patrick has made a new video of them climbing the highest peak in Ireland at 3,400 feet, a trek that took them almost 6 hours. And even better, they raised more than $1,000 for animal charities, including the very same shelter where Patrick adopted Stevie 4 years ago. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
Hey folks, this is Jackson Galaxy. You're listening to Animal Radio. Please do everyone a favor, spay or neuter your animals today.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, and over the last several weeks, we've been talking about cloning and genetic preservation. And we're visiting with Melaine Rodriguez. She's the Client Services Manager over at Vigen Pets. Melaine, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
I understand you've just delivered several cloned kittens.
That's right. I'll tell you, I have personally been present for every cloned kitten delivery to date. And I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite parts of my job. It's such a happy and emotional experience. One delivery that stands out in my mind just happened this past December, and the clients had preserved the cell line with us through our genetic preservation service about 5 years ago when their beloved Siamese cat had passed away suddenly. And at that time, cloning wasn't available anywhere, but the clients preserved the genetics with the hope that one day they might be able to clone their cat. So about a year ago, we sent a letter out to all of our feline genetic preservation clients announcing that we were cloning cats, and this particular client called immediately when she got our letter and said, sign me up. And so we started the process. It went very smoothly. I am with the client every step of the way from start to finish, giving them pregnancy updates and updates on birth. And in this situation, 2 beautiful kittens were born. They were both genetic twins to the original cat, and they stayed with us until they were about 8 to 12 weeks of age.
So how many are cloned? How many do they receive? Can it be 4 or 5, or is it 1, 2?
Well, cloned kittens, it could be more than one. Cloned litters are inherently smaller than average litters, but we estimate litter size to be 1 to 3 kittens. And so the client gets as many kittens as are born in the litter.
Can you clone a clone?
You could. You absolutely could.
You mentioned earlier that the kitten parents, they actually genetically preserved the DNA many, many years ago, not necessarily knowing what they were going to do with it at the time. Is that correct?
That's right. And so we've been doing this genetic preservation for cats and dogs for over 12 years now. So the majority of our clients who had done that preserved the cells with us, knowing that they may not be able to clone now, but hopefully someday they could. And so that time is now. And so those clients that had been storing cells with us for over a decade, some of them, were just amazed. So those cells, once they're stored, they're viable indefinitely. They can be stored for any length of time and can be cloned at any point down the road.
So I could just have, I could just do the genetic preservation on my cat and not necessarily go through the whole cloning process at this point.
That's right, and that's what most clients choose to do, is just store the cells now and then clone at some point down the road. You're not obligated to do the cloning right now.
What's the reaction you see from the clients who are taking delivery of a new kitten or a puppy?
I'll tell you, it's just amazing. You can't imagine the excitement and the emotion that goes on. They're crying, I'm crying. It's such an emotional experience. And for most of these clients, I've been there from the very beginning. These kittens that were delivered in December, I was the one that took the phone call when the original cat had died. So I cried with the client over the phone when the cat died, and then those same tears came when I handed over those kittens to the client. So it's just really came full circle. So I'm so happy to be a part of this process. It's just amazing.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hello, Animal Radians. It's Robert Semro, your Pet World Insider, here with this week's Animal Radio list. 5 things you must do before your pet goes missing. Having a pet go missing is one of the worst experiences a family can have. Your loved one got out an open door, slipped through a hole in the fence, or was maybe taken while you were at work. It doesn't really matter how it happened. The result is still awful. Your beloved pet is now lost, and you are now frantic to find them. Fear not, as I'm going to share 5 things you must do before your pet goes missing so that you're prepared and can jump into action. So this is never a great feeling and often is an overwhelming time. Thus, the importance of preparing ahead of time. Remember, the worst time to have to learn something is when you have to do something. So let's start with the simple act of taking some updated photos of your pets. These days, there's no excuse not to have up-to-date photos of your pets. Next up, see the pet, be the pet. That's right, get down to the pet's eye level and look at the world from their point of view. Go to the areas that your pet is in and imagine that area as a curiosity-filled wonderland. Look around for any possible dangers or, as important, any escape routes. It's amazing the amount of times people will say, I can't believe they got out of that tiny space or area. Let's move on to one of the most important things that every pet guardian should do, and that is microchip your pet. If you've microchipped your pet, when's the last time that you updated it? A microchip is only effective when it can be read by the scanners, and the information it brings up must be up to date and accurate. And we've all heard the tear-inducing stories of pets being reunited with their families weeks, months, even years after being lost because someone was able to read the microchip inside the animal. That brings up another point. Make sure that your local shelter's scanners can read the microchip that you have inside your pet. Many chips are universally read these days, but that wasn't always the case. So take a quick trip to your local vet or shelter and ask them to do a test reading of the microchip. Next up, consider one of the numerous collar attachments, GPS tags, and more that are able to tell you when your pet has gotten outside of their normal area. Some of the advanced products offer the ability to set up virtual perimeters that alert you if your pet goes outside of that boundary and tracks them until you are reunited. Finally, get to know your neighbors and let them know you and your pets. My dog Sugar was known to the neighborhood and on a few occasions went and had treats with the neighbors before heading back home under their watchful eye and kind and caring hearts. Some pets have wild and free spirits that will cause them to occasionally want to wander. I believe, because Sugar shared this with me, that our pets aren't running away. Instead, they're just trying to find us without a map. Share your pet safety tips and more on our Animal Radio Facebook page.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
Oh, what did he say?
He said, we're all across the USA, the most listened to pet show today. Animal Radio, we're everywhere you go. Animal Radio. Animal Radio.
Let's go to Dorothy. Hey, Dorothy, how are you doing?
My son's got a Samoyed, and she's between 5 and 6 years old. She supposedly has a little mix of Australian Shepherd, he thought. They told him. She's all white except for a real light-colored saddle. Okay. Now, the problem is, 2 months it's been, she got her usual shampoo and haircut, and her hair hasn't grown back, but her skin has turned almost a black. It's so grayish.
Wow.
And it's all on her back. What else can I say?
Okay.
It's
So
nothing loose or flaky. I've checked it, tried to flake it, and it doesn't. And only a little hair around her neck and legs has grown, none on the back.
Okay, so the skin is discolored. The hair itself that's growing in is the normal color?
Yeah, the hair's a normal color.
Okay. And you said it's been how long since she was shaved?
About 2 months.
2 months. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, definitely we can have some problems where, and this is one of the kind of reasons that we don't advocate shaving the double-coated Arctic breeds, is because it can really alter the regrowth of that hair. So in a kind of a normal, healthy pet that has a double coat, when we shave them down, we can get uneven hair regrowth. And it actually can cause a what they call a hair cycle arrest or post-clipping alopecia. So it kind of stunts the hair follicles in the area where they've been shaved. And usually after several hair growth cycles, then it may grow back normally. But that's assuming that we're not continuing to shave the pet.
Okay.
So that's certainly a possibility in a completely healthy, normal pet. And we can actually even see some color change in the skin, and that again is from just kind of the effect the shaving has on the hair follicle itself. However, I will tell you that there are some health conditions that makes me think about, and a lot of those tend to be things of the hormonal nature. So we can see hormone problems.
Okay.
So we can see problems where hair doesn't grow back in the normal fashion in pets that have problems with their thyroid gland, their adrenal gland, as far as in other pets that have types of skin infections that are going on. So it would certainly be something I would, raise that concern with my veterinarian and just, inquire, do I need to have him tested or have her tested for a low thyroid? Is there any other kind of skin concern that they would have? If so, then I'd pursue that and look at that. But otherwise, if they don't feel there's anything abnormal health-wise with your dog, then I would say, okay, let's reconsider the shaving. And I'm more of a fan of thinning a hair coat, but to actually shave them all the way down to the skin, you do remove some of that protective mechanism of that hair.
Okay, now she's never been shaved. This dog grooming place just cuts her hair, but it's not shaved.
Okay.
Per se, it's cut shorter. And he took her to the vet. He spent a few $100s getting the vet checked and tested. And all he's been told, it was like a seasonal thing.
Okay.
Change of seasons caused it.
Yeah.
But she looks like she needs a bath because the skin is so darkish.
Yeah. And so I'll kind of leap ahead. So if the veterinarian did do some blood work, did a chem panel, and they did a thyroid level on her, and they said all of that looked good, then yes, it is possible we can have a type of a seasonal or what they call a flank alopecia. And we see this a lot in actually in boxers, where they'll get kind of hair loss and a blackening of the skin along the kind of the sides of the back. So if we think it might be something like that, then I actually do advocate using melatonin, and that can help. Otherwise, the seasonal problem tends to, go away, and the hair coat restores itself when you get out of that season. So that is a possibility, but, I'd like to make sure that, we do all our due diligence, check out all those health possibilities. So I just make sure you ask a couple good questions pointed to the veterinarian to see if they did, in fact, check that.
You take your dog and he sees it and you tell him what's wrong. I'm disappointed that the doctor, couldn't find a reason and didn't. I guess he did blood tests, he had lab work and stuff because it was a few $100s.
Yeah. Well, and very honestly, even if I saw your dog right now, I probably couldn't tell you with looking. Sometimes it does require, not only just lab work, but it can even require a skin biopsy if we want to have a definitive answer.
Yeah.
Now, there's kind of operating with some good assumptions, and that may be what you may need to settle for, if we're not going to go into, a biopsy at this point.
Okay.
And as long as she's not uncomfortable, scratching, itching, chewing herself.
No.
Okay.
She's
good.
as active and healthy as can be. Now, you think in time this will change back?
Well, it kind of depends, again, what the cause of that is. If it's a seasonal alopecia or a clipping alopecia, then, yeah, time will tell, and we should see hair regrowth, many months down the road.
Okay.
So, and I'd ask the veterinarian, hey, some other vet said something about using melatonin if you think it's the seasonal alopecia. Do you think that sounds reasonable? And just to make sure that, that veterinarian and I are talking the same talk, because they may have other suspicions than what I'm referring to.
Okay.
Okay, well, good luck with that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all of that information.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. Let us know how it goes. If you want to talk to the doctor just like Dorothy, you can ask your questions directly from the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hi, this is Mayim Bialik on Animal Radio. Please adopt a pet.
Do you travel with your dog?
Of course. My pets are part of our family.
Me too. I take Daisy with me everywhere. Right, Daisy? So how do you find out what hotels welcome your dog?
I read Fido Friendly, the travel and lifestyle magazine for you and your dog.
Sounds perfect for planning our next vacation. Right, Daisy?
It is. Their motto is leave no dog behind, and they have great hotel and destination reviews.
Where can I find the magazine?
Go online to FidoFriendly.com.
I will for sure. Come on, Daisy. We're off to find our next adventure.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Well, thank you, big guy. This hour, we're going to talk to Zak George. This is his second time on Animal Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've seen him on YouTube. He has a lot of free advice, which is it's pretty cool to see a dog trainer giving out free advice on YouTube videos, showing you how to train your dogs. Most of them want to charge for that kind of stuff, but he's
got, not only is it free, it's great advice. He knows his stuff.
And you can find a lot of crap on the internet. This is good stuff. This is stuff that I would train my dogs with, and you should check it out if you haven't. Hey, he'll be on the show. That, of course, the pinnacle of his career. Forget the YouTube, forget the CBS Who Let the Dogs Out and Animal Planet shows. This is really where he makes his mark, right here on Animal Radio. All right. Okay, he's on the way. What are you working on, Lori?
Well, you said you could find a lot of crap on the internet. You can find a big pile of it in Spain.
Oh, yes.
They have that big inflatable pile of dog doo-doo.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's an update on that, Cal, coming up for you.
Not so well. Okay, we'll have to find out about that big pile of poop in Spain. And that's on the way right here on Animal Radio. Let's go to the phones for your calls right now. We go to this one. It's been blinking all afternoon.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Pick it up, Hal.
Hey, Karen.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Where are you?
Right outside Chicago, Illinois, in Glen Ellen.
Chicago. Okay. Well, what's going on with your pets? I have Dr. Debbie right here, and I understand you need to talk to her.
Yeah, I was listening to your senior show, and you were talking about a lot of different things. But one thing that I didn't hear that was touched on is I have he's about 11 years old. He's adopted, so I don't know exactly. And he's got arthritis in his back end, and therefore it's real hard for him to maintain muscle. So I'm wondering if there's a way that I can, either through exercise or some type of diet, build muscle or at least maintain what he has, so it doesn't atrophy.
Exactly. And that's the active word right there. So I'm so glad you said that, Karen. When our pets have chronic pain, arthritis, it causes them to not use their muscles in the full range of motion. And that results in disuse atrophy. So the legs get skinnier. And then as a consequence of that, they get less strong. So pets may be unsteady, they may be wobbly, and they may not be as sure-footed. So that's kind of all that cascade of effect. And the basic problem is arthritic pain there. So the most important thing is that we address the pain on many different levels. So that might be a combination of using joint supplements, might be non-steroidal pain medication that we might have prescribed by your veterinarian. And we might use like other pain medicines. There's a great one called Tramadol that we use a lot for older pets as another way of attacking their pain.
Okay.
And then,
is it pill form or with a shot?
I'm sorry?
Is it pill form or is it with a shot?
That's a pill
Tramadol,
form.
you called it?
Tramadol, yeah, and we can use that along with a lot of these other medicines to kind of complement them. So there's never just one product that I typically put my older pets with osteoarthritis on. I will use a multi-modal approach to this. So we try different things. And then some pets, once we get all that on board, then we can really work on some soft exercise. Very short leash walks. If we have a pool like we do in Las Vegas, swimming is a great muscle builder. It doesn't bear any weights on the joints and allows them to use their legs. So we want to make sure a pet is not going to be more uncomfortable. So you have to control the pain first, but then that can be a great way to help build up that muscle. And in many areas and some big big cities, we have areas that have pet physical therapy departments. And actually in Las Vegas, there's a department in one of the specialty clinics where we have physical therapy to help build muscle tone in pets that are recovering from illnesses and injuries, as well as things like older pets with arthritis. So that's a great thing. Now, another option, kind of in this multiple ways of hitting things, is there's a medicine called Adequan. And it's another type. Before. He has been on that. Did that help?
It really helped him tremendously, but it's very expensive, so we kind of did it sparingly.
Yeah, and that's the downside. It's an injectable form that helps to kind of rebuild the cartilage and help keep that joint as healthy as possible. And a lot of pets can really benefit from it, but it's because of the cost. Sometimes it's not the first thing that we'll jump to. But for a lot of pets that we've tried everything else in the world, it can really be very helpful for these guys. So
great. And what should he be sleeping on? Should he be sleeping on special bedding?
That's a great comment. Yes, absolutely. For older pets that have arthritic issues, I would definitely go for some nice padded bedding. Make sure that we're not sleeping on hard floors, and we want to try to make sure that they're off cool areas. A lot of times they're drawn to that, but we want to make sure they're not close to chills and things like that. So yes, nice, soft, padded orthopedic bedding is the way to go. So yes, thank you for bringing up those wonderful points. And for our senior pets out there, there's a lot we can do. So definitely work with your veterinarian to find the right plan for your pet.
Okay.
And
that is wonderful.
Go
Thank
give your
you.
senior pet a big old hug from all of us here at Animal Radio. I appreciate your call.
I will. Thanks for your help.
Let's how about we talk to Josh? You want to talk to Josh? Hey Josh, how are you doing?
Good, and you?
Splendid. Where are you calling from today?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Is that home?
Yes.
Okay.
What's that?
I just asked if that was home. I'm being nosy.
You asking for way ahead for lunch, too?
Yeah.
Well, what's going on, Josh? This is Dr. Debbie here.
I have she's about 6 month Shih Tzu that we've had in the family for 6 months now. And she has a constant battle of fleas. We have tried everything from collars to dips to drops to shampoos to bombing the house out with to get rid of all the insects and stuff, and we cannot get rid of them, and we feel so bad for her. I mean, it gets to the point where they end up on my daughter a lot of times, or my wife even.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, icky. I know. Fleas are nasty things, and I'd have to tell you, this among many years, we've had some really bad flea seasons across the country. So the thing you have to realize is fleas exist outdoors. You are not going to kill all the fleas in the world. The goal and the challenge that you have is to try to control them on your dog and in your home. So as long as your doggy is going outside, we have the risk of being reinfested with fleas. So you got to recognize that, because a lot of people get very frustrated with flea control, and obviously we want them out of our house and off of the pets and ourselves, but this is a cycle that is always going to be at risk if you're in a heavy flea area. So for me, that's the first thing. And the next steps that we really have to look at is that flea control isn't a one-time thing. It can take repeated treatment for the flea life cycle to really be extinguished. So you just keep in mind, when we talk about fleas and their life cycle, 5% of the whole flea life cycle accounts for the adults that are actually on the pet. So there's 95% of fleas that are in the eggs, the pupa, and the larva stages elsewhere in your home that have not hatched. So you may be treating your pet, but in order to kill off those immature stages, it's going to take more work. And that's the biggest thing, is to really stay faithful. So I always say we got to go for at least 3 months continuously before we can expect all those different generations of the flea life cycle to be squashed. And if your pet is going back outside, we're getting reinfested. So you're getting new generations that are going to be coming on, new adults that are going to be popping onto the pet. So that is just the facts of life when it comes to fleas. So,
is there any product better than other ones?
There's a lot of question about that, and I'll tell you what I recommend is really using different products that hit different cycles of the flea life cycle. So if you're just using a flea collar, most of those really aren't very effective in treating a pet globally for this flea problem. So I like to use a combination of an oral product and kind of like a spot-on product. And what many of the oral products do is they're quick kills. So those you generally give once a month. Sometimes we'll do those more frequently, even as often as a couple times a week, daily in really bad cases. Those you'll need to see your veterinarian for, but those kill off the adults very effectively, and many of them shortly after the pill, those suckers will be hopping off. So I always kind of recommend to do this and keep your pets outside, keep those fleas from hopping back on. But that is definitely a good way, is to start with the orals to kill off the adults, and then we follow up with a product that has something that's going to affect the different generations of the fleas. So with those, just throwing out some different names out there. For instance, Frontline is their basic product. Frontline Plus has a component that treats those immature forms. So you want to kind of work with your veterinarian to make sure you're getting the right stuff and that we're using it frequently enough. There is some also talk out there that there could be resistance that fleas are developing to a lot of our common pest control products or flea control products. And there's some debate on that, but some different strategies we find is that if we use different products and we kind of switch it up at different times of the season, kind of helps to not stick with one product, and hopefully those fleas don't get resistant to our efforts with those medications. So I don't have a single product that I would really tell you, but some of the different oral ones, Capstar is one, and then Advantix 2 is another that has an insect growth regulator that gets kind of more generations of fleas. So that is kind of the scoop, and I would have to tell you, if she's 10, you said 10 months old, 5 months old?
She's 6 months old.
6 months old. So she's just a baby. So she's just developing those whole generations of eggs, going to larva, going to the pupa, and then going to the adult. So you're going to have to keep battling this. Now, do you have cats, other pets in the home?
I have one cat. She's 10 years old. She stays in the house.
Okay. So, and then we also have to make sure we are treating her for fleas at the same time.
We do. It's a battle trying to get her and trying to clean her up, but she does not like the water.
Yeah, and that's where baths and dips, you can do that, but in a lot of cases, I'm a fan of some of the spot-on products that have a sustained effect that lasts for about a month. You may find less scratches giving your cat than giving your cat a bath, but always with kitties. And I like to just kind of get that out there for listeners. Cats are very sensitive to a lot of the dog flea control products. So you don't want to mix and match. You always want to use the full amount of the product on your pet, whether it's a dog or cat. Don't split doses to try to save money between your pets.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hey, this is Sean Hayes on Animal Radio. Remember to spay and neuter your pets.
Do you have a home that you don't want anymore? We can buy it from you within 24 hours. Any home, size, or condition. For over 20 years, we've been buying homes for cash and helping homeowners sell their homes immediately, with no listings or strangers walking through your home. Are you moving? Did you lose your job? Going through a divorce? Whatever the reason, if you're in a bind and you know that you need to sell your house fast, call the expert team at I Need to Sell My House Fast. We'll make you a serious cash offer to buy your home in 24 hours and let you walk away from it. No listing, no waiting. Sell any home, any size, any condition, now. Call the expert team at I Need to Sell My House Fast. Make this free call now.
800-478-6084. 800-478-6084. 800-478-6084. That's 800-478-6084.
This is Greg Biffle on Animal Radio, and remember to spay and neuter your pets.
Alan Cable, welcome to another mess. Let's start it off right with your beer news watch. Beer for dogs?
We plan on getting a Rottweiler.
Well, any vet will tell you dogs should never be given beer. Their livers don't metabolize alcohol the same way we do, and things like hops can hurt many dogs. It's sad that dogs up until this point couldn't enjoy beer, but a company called Wolf and Brew released a beer specifically for dogs. Are you ready to enjoy one with your dog?
I'm just in my boxers right now.
This stuff has no alcohol or hops or carbonation. It's easy and safe for dogs to digest. So now you can share a beer with your best buddy.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio. We're celebrating the connection with your pet, and if any chance you need a fix during the week, you can do that over at animalradio.pet. Animal Radio, yes, .pet.
.pet.
It's a brand new domain. There.
How cool is that?
I love it. Of course, you can also ask your questions from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android, too. In fact, we're going to go back to the phones for your calls, but first, let's find out what's happening in the newsroom with Lori Brooks.
Well, chickens are pets too, right? Sure. I mean, a lot of people have chickens as pets these days. But now they're making, actually for farmers, this vest that you put on a chicken, and the chicken feels your love.
Ooh,
I'll explain.
Well, that's interesting.
It is amazing.
Okay, chicken love on the way in just a couple of minutes. Let's go to the phones. You ready, Doc?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of like someone has some weird fetish there.
Got a chicken fetish.
I promise.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
It's doing good. What's on your mind?
I had a few questions for Dr. Debbie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, my little dog just had surgery.
Oh, no, for what?
Well, he got a bone lodged in his intestines.
Oh,
and,
okay.
yeah, I had to have it surgically removed. It was a T-bone. It was a beef bone, but he seems to be doing okay now, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on him and stuff. I just wondering if you've ever heard of that before.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And unfortunately, you're probably the one in a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand where this is going to happen. And people are out there going, I fed my dog's bones for years and years and never had a problem. You and your baby have been on the unfortunate receiving end of that rare one that does have a problem. So this is why vets like say, no bones for dogs. Because, yeah, they definitely can get caught anywhere from the mouth to the butt and get hung up. So how recently did he have surgery?
Last Saturday.
Last Saturday, okay. And yeah. I'm assuming he's at home with you now?
Well, I'm a long-haul truck driver, so he's in the PSCU right now.
Okay, so he's still there. And as far as, is he having problems? Or
that's the passenger seat care unit.
So he's right next to you.
Yeah, he's right next to me.
Okay, I thought that was some abbreviation for an animal hospital. So how is he doing?
He's doing good. He's starting to get back full of vinegar and stuff, so he's perking up really good. I'm surprised how fast they recover. I know I'd probably still be in a bed somewhere if I had that done. So,
do me a favor. Tell all the other pet owners, pet guardians, not to feed their animals bones. People think it's okay to do that. They say, "Oh, well, what if we boil it, or what if we cook it?" Bones under no circumstance, right, Doc?
I want to hear Dave say it, though. He's been through this.
I thought that's what he was asking me. Please do not give your dogs bones. That was an $1,100 experience, which I would have spent more if it would have took it. But no more bones, lots of rawhides, lots of love.
Yeah, definitely. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that your baby's on the mend and hopefully be coming along pretty good and feel no adverse effects for things. So everything else is going good with him as far as eating and pooping and doing is all good dog fun?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Well, thank you for sharing your story there, Dave, and we're sorry to hear of that bad news, but glad to hear that hopefully we can help some other listeners and definitely learn from your experience.
What was your other question before we run out of time?
Real quick was, I wondered if you had any ideas on how to convert him to dry dog food and what the type might be.
Alrighty. Is he pretty much a canned dog food eater, or does he eat people food?
Well, no, I don't give him people food. I feed him pedigree, and I do put down some dry Iams food for him that he nibbles on very infrequently. But I'd like to convert him over to dry food only, and I tried that before, and the vet said just, no matter if you got to go 2 or 3 days, just put it down and he'll get hungry, he'll eat it. Well, about the 4th day, I broke down and some wet food, so...
Well, I like to do a diminishing return. So a little bit of the canned, a little bit of the dry, and then slowly lean the proportions the other way so we're not doing it kind of cold turkey on them. That's probably the best way to do it. The other quick thing you can try is to get some low-salt chicken broth and soak some of the dry food, make it a little bit mushy, let them get used to the taste, let them get used to the texture of that, maybe before you get them over to that food entirely. But that might be something else you can try as well.
How about the stuff they sell in Petco and stuff, the little gravies that you can put on? Is that
yeah, that may work as well. It's just a little extra calories, a little extra yummies, but as long as he's still eating the food underneath that. I have some pups where they'll still lick the gravy and leave the food behind, so but you can try that as well. So thank you so much for your call, Dave. It's great to have a faithful listener, and we can wish your baby all the best in his recovery. This is Dr. Debbie with Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hello, this is Jane Goodall on Animal Radio, and I'd just like everybody to realize that each day you live, you make some difference on the planet, and you can choose what kind of difference you're going to make. And hopefully every day you'll try to make the world a little bit better for people, for animals, and for the environment.
How would you like to save money on nearly all your prescription drugs? We've set up a special toll-free number for the RX Outreach Program. They're a nonprofit company whose mission it is to make prescription drugs more affordable to the masses. They don't take insurance, and in many cases, your prescriptions are even cheaper than your co-pays. They carry thousands of different prescription drugs, so whatever you're taking, there's a good chance they have it. No coupons are required, and this is not a discount card. It is pure savings on your prescription drugs. They specialize in generic meds for any chronic health needs you have. Call with your prescription and find out for free how little you can pay for your prescription drugs. Remember, we don't take insurance, so call right now.
800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. 800-689-0143. That's 800-689-0143.
Hi, this is Doug Ray of the Marshall Tucker Band, and forever you'll always be listening to Animal Radio. Keep loving those pets.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Lori Brooks. Imagine leaving your pet at home while you go off to work, and the pet turns on the smart TV and chooses a program that he or she wants to watch. Well, recently, this field of animal-computer interaction, known as short ACI, has begun to explore in detail exactly how animals use technology. The hope is that better understanding animals' relationship with technology will mean that we can use it to monitor and improve their lives. Now, one researcher says he has found that dogs like to watch videos of other dogs. And if you've seen a dog on the TV while you're watching TV with your dog, you probably agree. So he's out to expand on this theory, and he's been tracking dogs' faces, their eyes specifically, while they watch various programming featuring other dogs in an attempt to work out how to best make shows just for dogs. You had to know it was coming. Elsewhere, the Imagineering Institute in Malaysia is attempting to provide physical comfort to chickens, which they say have high levels of cognition and feelings. And also, did you know, chickens benefit greatly from physical contact. So, welcome to the world of virtual chicken petting. I kid you not. To artificially, they will replicate physical interaction between chickens and their farmers. The researchers have developed a chicken jacket that allows humans to give the chicken wearing it a virtual hug.
I want to know how many farmers actually pet their chickens.
Well, they here in California, they say that happy chickens, or is that cows?
That's happy cows.
Cows.
But I'm sure
Yeah.
happy chickens lay more eggs, too.
Better eggs,
Yeah,
too.
better eggs. Oh, I bet they taste better, yeah.
I would love to hear from people in the rural areas that have chickens if they pet them. If it means that they're going to lay more eggs or it makes them happier farm animals.
My neighbor pets their chickens.
Yes, they do. I actually have seen them pet their chickens. Yes. But they're pet chickens.
Well, they are pet
They're like
chickens.
family members.
Yeah, it's not a big farm.
Do you have chickens, Lori?
No, I don't. I did when I was a kid, but I agree with Dr. Debbie. How is a farmer going to have... But it's because the farmer doesn't have time to pet his chickens that they've made this. So when the farmer strokes a touch-sensitive chicken model, it sends a signal via the internet to the jacket being worn by the chicken, which replicates the feeling of being stroked by its human.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Why can't they do that for cats and dogs?
Yeah.
You know, they probably could. I guess because with chickens, they're happier, so they're producing more, and who knows?
I want one of those coats.
That is a... Yeah, really. Stroke me, would you?
And I want the
I want
control.
a hat. Well, we're talking about chickens here. A story about a man whose companion animal is a hen, but this is not an ordinary pair. They're actually a very beautiful couple. This 24-year-old Frenchman and his pet chicken, Monique, have been on a sailboat for the last 2 years, sailing around the world. He says he picked Monique as his traveling companion because he wanted a pet for company, and a hen needs little looking after, and they also lay eggs, so she serves a great purpose. But he loves this hen. However, they are in love. They have started their journey in the Canary Islands, and then they went off and visited the Caribbean, and then they hit the Arctic, and now they're headed to Alaska at this time. And if you haven't seen their pictures, I got to tell you, Monique is gorgeous, and her young, hunky Frenchman is beautiful as well. But Monique has a life that most humans would be envious of.
I got to tell you that.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to him.
To the hunky Frenchman?
You did?
I did, yes, and he was in Greenland with Monique.
Oh, you sounded so excited. Look at you, get so excited about that.
But he's a Frenchman.
Have you seen his pictures?
Yes. I have.
So is he going to be on the show?
He is. He's coming on later in July. He's going to be on the boat for months. They are going around the world. So he'll be, he said actually he's coming down past Morro Bay. He's going to be in San Francisco and heading down. So yes,
awesome.
We're going to have him on the show at the end of July.
Sounds good.
He is so handsome, and she's a gorgeous chicken. And he posts these photos of them having like Valentine's dinners and beautiful sunsets, and it's awesome. So if you're ready for a laugh,
okay.
An update on a story we did a few weeks ago. We told you about that giant inflatable dog poop pile that was put up in a small town in Spain.
Yep.
It was their attempt to deter dog owners from leaving their dogs doo-doo in the streets. Would you believe, my friends, that that giant inflatable turd has been stolen?
No.
I swear. Gone. The town council also put up signs encouraging residents to clean up after their pets and asked them, to help promote the campaign by sharing pictures of themselves standing by the inflatable poop pile using the hashtag No Mas Cacas. But, it's not like you could, and it did garner a lot of publicity. And it was such a huge hit that the town is really missing its inflatable pile of dog poop. And, in fact, has already ordered an exact replica of it.
Well, maybe someone cleaned it up. Did anyone check the trash cans? I'm just thinking.
But, it's not like you're going to be able to put it anywhere. That's a one-of-a-kind piece of poop.
Yeah, you can't really hide that poop, can you?
No, it was a big one. I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime you need it at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Well, good day, David. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
Where are you?
I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock, Arkansas. How can we help you today, David?
Okay, my question is this. I have a 10-and-a-half-year-old Yorkie poo, And he rides in the truck with me. He's been doing it for about 10 years now. I'm a trucker. And I usually would able to give him just about anything, and it wouldn't bother him. But in the last 6 months or so, he gets the runs at the drop of a hat. And even I started mixing his food with some canned food to kind of make it a little bit more palatable for him. And that was okay, but even now that bothers him. What's going on with my dog?
Okay, so is the problem that he's not eating, or is it just that he's having loose stools?
Loose stools.
Okay, so his appetite is sound. That's good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, then I would not add in canned food because that can ruin the whole process of what you're trying to do. If you're having loose stools with your pet and you add in canned food, that actually can have a tendency for many pets to loosen up the stool. There's a lot more moisture content in that, and it's kind of like, be like eating a lot of pumpkin pie if you have diarrhea. It's not going to help things in any way there. So I would really be looking more at our diet structure as far as what we are feeding, and there are some diets will go to a higher fiber content if we want to firm up the stool some. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is I would certainly make sure we have the stool and your pet checked at the veterinarian, because, we could have something like worms. We can have other issues going on. There's problems in digestion with the pancreas that can cause a chronic problem with loose stools. I'd say the number one problem in most cases is we choose a diet that doesn't agree with our pet's bowels. And the number one thing I look at when I pick a food, a lot of people say, what's the best food out there, Doc? It's going to be the best one that agrees with your pet. That's always one of the first things. So do they like it? And does it produce nice, solid poops that are consistent? So that might be something we look at. Is the current food you're going with, maybe nothing bad against the company, but it may not be the trick for your pet. And to change that, we would find another and kind of gradually introduce that new diet over a period of about a week to 2 weeks. See what the poops go like. And then we can make a decision. Is it better, worse, no different? But I would certainly, before we start on the strategy of trying different foods and moving around, like I said, I'd make sure your baby's checked out A-OK by the vet and bring a nice bag of poop for the vet. It really makes our day when you guys do that.
You like that stuff. It's weird.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too.
Lots of people place online ads for love or maybe to sell their used car, but a heartbroken bird lover got his missing parrot back thanks to Craigslist. 35-year-old Jason Strong couldn't bear to think of never finding his 8-month-old Amazon parrot, but the thought of his beloved Dino becoming a meal for another animal was unbearable. Strong has cerebral palsy, and his caregiver had taken Dino to visit some friends. They were sitting at a pool, Dino perched on her arm, when he suddenly took off flying, something he'd never done before. They made flyers and put an ad on Craigslist about the missing parrot, but weren't expecting too much. Meanwhile, an employee from Hyundai Motors found Dino in a parking lot at work. She was just going to post a found bird ad on Craigslist when she saw the lost bird one. She returned Dino to Strong, where he happily found the place on Strong's wheelchair right next to a parakeet named Pharaoh, a cockatiel named Willow, and a conure named Spirit. He explained, some people are cat people, some people are dog people. Maybe I was a bird in a past life. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio. Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Hello, I'm David Bellamy, the Bellamy Brothers, and we're on Animal Radio. Love your animals.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. 800-785-1673. That's 800-785-1673.
It's Animal Radio. We're celebrating the connection with your pets. And we welcome back to the show Zak George, the young training phenomenon that you've seen all over YouTube. And hey, Zak, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for calling me young. I appreciate that.
Well, you are. I'm old as dirt.
Compared
That's
to
why,
us.
compared to me. So this is your second appearance here. You have a book out called Dog Training Revolution, the complete guide to, I can't read that small. That's how old I am. It's
The complete guide to
raising the perfect pet with love. How's it doing?
I honestly didn't know how it was going to do, but we are, definitely a bestseller in the category of dog training, so I don't think you can ask for much better than that.
No,
That's
you
really
sure
exciting.
can't. Well, you've done very well on the social media arena, the YouTube videos where you give free advice. Didn't anyone tell you shouldn't be giving free advice like
Don't
that?
give that away for free.
And
I
also
know.
blogs. You have a blog and all of these things, just phenomenal. And you have a training technique which is much different than a lot of other trainers. It's really positive training, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when we look for things to find right about what our dogs are doing rather than relying on correcting them for doing things we don't like, we know that our results are going to be much better and our dogs are actually going to enjoy listening to us. That's really the key.
Well, you're trying to make it fun for both the owner, the guardian, and the dog.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it should be an enjoyable experience. No one gets a dog with the aim of simply dominating them and making their life unpleasant, because that's not fun for the person or the dog. We all get dogs because we want to improve our quality of life and maybe make the life better for a homeless dog or a dog that doesn't have a good situation.
But doesn't it start with the selection of the dog? You should get a dog that kind of fits your lifestyle. If you get a dog that runs around and is very energetic and you try to punish him for that and correct that, that's kind of his breed. You need a dog that's a little less active.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge point. We go into depth in that in the book. So this book is really good for people who are trying to figure out the best kind of dog to get for them. And you hit the nail on the head with energy level. I think one of the biggest things wrong with our culture in terms of how we evaluate whether a dog is right for us is we place too much emphasis on a dog's breed and not enough emphasis on the individual dog's characteristics, including but not limited to their energy level. For example, a hyper Jack Russell Terrier might require a lot more time and effort than, say, a lazy Border Collie, for example. So,
I have to laugh because I did my research and I did not want a Jack Russell because of their energy level. And I went to a rescue and they said it was a Chihuahua, but it turned out to be 50% Jack Russell with the energy level.
But I think, that's such a great point that you make, because I see a lot of people that get into breeds and they adore a breed, but they really, as they change through their life, the breed is maybe the most ideal for them to have a short-haired pointer when you're not a very active, retired person and, you don't really walk your dogs. So I think that sometimes people really get that in their mind of, I love Cocker Spaniels, but then they're not prepared to deal with, say, the hair coat or other issues that are with that.
Yeah, there are things about that with specific breeds, like you mentioned, with shedding that are very important. In the book, we actually show you how to kind of categorize a dog as a level energy 1, 2, or 3 dog, 3 being a real high energy dog. And the higher energy dogs require more maintenance as a general rule and lots of time and activities. But they can also learn some of the most phenomenal things imaginable, too. So,
well, you know what? I'm just about to take our Jack Russell Terrier on a trip. I like traveling during the summer. In fact, this is the first summer that I will travel a lot with Ladybug, the studio stunt dog. What kind of cool tricks and tips can you give me on this?
Yeah, in terms of traveling, you just want to make sure that your dog is as comfortable as possible. Ideally, I'm a bigger fan of driving dogs instead of flying dogs. So if it's avoidable, I generally recommend avoiding flying your dogs. for a variety of reasons that I'll cover in the book and won't bore you with here. But, you have to stop pretty frequently. It's also a good idea to get their energy out of them before a major road trip to encourage them to rest. And exercise seems to greatly decrease all types of anxiety, or at least almost all types of anxiety.
Kind of like with kids. You want to get your kid out there running around the yard before you throw them in the car for 5 hours. Yeah.
That's what they tell me. Yeah, I don't have kids, but it sounds reasonable to me for sure. Yeah.
Well, the last time I traveled with Ladybug and I saw there was other dogs. We traveled by air, and we paid $50 to have the dog sit next to us. But I noticed there was some other dogs that they were supposedly service dogs, but they were not behaving very well. So I suspect they were not service dogs.
Yeah, we actually addressed that in the book. That's so funny because I just got a message from someone on Facebook who had just finished reading the book and commended me for the way we address the service dog issue. And it's so important that people not abuse that.
We have some great organizations like AKC and such. Why can't we have some kind of central organization that really registers and certifies service dogs? That's my curiosity.
That's a complex one. That's a great question. But yeah, it's out of my pay grade.
Well, it looks like a great book. In fact, I'm going to give away 10 copies right now. It's Zak George's Dog Training Revolution, the complete guide to raising the perfect pet with love. If you're not lucky enough to get on through, head on over to Amazon right now and order it up, or head to your bookstore, and if they don't have it, say, I'm not shopping here anymore until you get this book. Zak George's Dog Training Revolution. Zak, thank you so much for hanging with us today.
Oh, my privilege.
It is time for us to get on out of here. Remember, if you need your fix during the week, visit us over at animalradio.pet or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. And it's a great app to have because if there's ever a recall, a pet food recall, or news that really affects your pet, you'll know first. You'll get a notification on your phone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Always adopt, don't declaw.
This is Animal Radio Network.